So let's cover inflation, because I'm just a general average run-of-the-mill guy in how I live, and I think most of us don't fully grasp inflation. So I'm just going to break it down to my understanding of inflation. Now, I have a friend who worked for the World Bank, and he was saying, Scott, you could put 100 economists in a room, they'll all have different opinions. So it's a bit like doctors, I guess. So inflation steals while you sleep. So you might have $1 million in your bank account, and you think, well, I've got $1 million, I'm safe. No, you don't. You can pull that out in cash and put that under your bed, but it's actually, cash is a note of debt. It's, if you carry cash, you carry debt. You say, well, that's not my debt. Well, it kind of is if you zoom out. It's the government debt, and that is owed by the government, owed to the government, owned by the government. It's probably owned by the IMF, ultimately, the International Monetary Fund. So when you have cash in your wallet, you're actually carrying debt. But worse thing, you're carrying somebody else's debt, not just your own. So when they inflate, I mean, there's two forms of taxation: legitimate taxation, well, sort of legitimate taxation, and inflation. Inflation is the dishonest tax that the government brings to steal our money. So while you sleep, inflation takes your money. And you have to look at its buying power and how it is in relation to other currencies outside of your country. And I did a video, you can see it back on my feeds, from Venezuela, where the man was talking about how in Venezuelan dollars, a house was over $1 million once hyperinflation hit. He said, but the US came in and bought those homes for $50,000 US. And what he was saying was $1 million Venezuelan dollars, wages didn't keep up. So people couldn't afford those homes. So the US came in and bought them for 50 grand. And he was saying you need income outside of your economy. We're going to talk a little bit about that too in this with the BRICS. But so if I have Australian dollars, if I have US dollars, I live in the US, I have US dollars, and that's inflated away. The buying power of the US dollar goes down. So now somebody overseas may be able to buy things for a lot better. So while you sleep, if you have cash in the bank, you have cash under your bed or under your mattress or whatever, the value of that cash is dropping. You need to, in my opinion, get it into things that, in Venezuela's words actually, put it into things that are essential, that people are going to need as things get worse. Put it into your essentials. And so inflation is like that. It takes away. I do believe they're going to say, a loaf of bread, as they inflate away our cash. And they're doing that by printing so much of it. And that's globally. The governments are putting money into everything and everything that they can. Print. Get that money out there. Give it to everybody. I saw a video on Alberta is suing the government for some of the COVID mandates and the loss of businesses. Well, the government will pay that gladly. Eventually, they'll lose, they'll pay, and it'll be hundreds of millions of dollars. They don't care because they're going to inflate that away. They're looking for things to give money to. So ultimately, in doing that, you're breaking your own economy. So in the US, I had a friend that's tied in venture capitalists in California. They couldn't understand the government was giving hundreds of millions of dollars to venture capitalists, to crazy things that had no chance of making money back. And that never made the news, did it? And they just want to get as much cash out there as they can because it's going to be valueless. You're going to come up with a loaf of bread and it's going to cost you $100, or in a CBDC, the central bank digital currency, it'll be $1. Something like that. And so they'll say, you don't have to come to CBDC, but who's going to work a week and pay $100 for a loaf of bread when you could, it's coercion, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to devalue the value of cash. Gold, which we'll get into that, but one of the things with gold is I believe they will confiscate gold, as they've done in the US, they've done in the UK, to jumpstart the economy. If you're going to have gold, you need to have it stored outside of the West. I think Klaus Schwab talks about a multipolar world. So he is bringing about a multipolar world. And it's interesting when you look at BRICS, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, something like that. More now, they've got Saudi in it. When you look at that, their language is WEF. This is a multipolar world we are going to. This currency is multipolar. So it's a concern. We're going to talk a little bit more about BRICS. But first, I'm just going to finish off on inflation. So I think the Venezuelan man said as inflation and hyperinflation hits, you have people work in essential areas. He said get jobs in things that have to happen. Car mechanics. People now buy new washing machines. They won't do that. They'll fix the old. The coffee maker breaks. They'll want it fixed. Clothes. They don't go and buy a lot of new clothes. They want the used clothes. So start to think. Now remember, like I've said, society is going to be reset. The WEF has claimed that. They've said that. They've not hidden that. It's going to be reset. So you're not going to be able to make your living the way you have made your living. So rewire your brain to say, how do I move forward? If everything is wiped away, what will we do? Now, obviously, we're going to have some things here, but they are saying, they're not hiding it, they're going to change our economy. We're going to have regional hubs. Listen to Klaus Schwab's videos and Noah Yuval Harari, what they talk about, and that is aggressively happening. So find an area you can work in, store things that are essential if you're going to store. And let's just talk quickly on storage of things. I think it's important that when your world goes away, I recently, years ago, 4 years ago, my world collapsed. And one of the things that happened was I had to have the right people around my life that were a support to me. So it's very important to have the right people around your life that are spiritually connected with you. I heard someone say once, who do you want to spend the apocalypse with? Plan that now. When things collapse, you're going to get depression. You're going to lose your money. You could potentially lose your house, your car, and a lot of families will be under a lot of pressure. Wives, husbands that will say, under that pressure will leave. Believe we will see mass suicide. We'll see people. I think we'll actually see corpses laying on streets. There'll be so much of that. I hope not. I hope I'm wrong, but I think that will happen because you are taking away people's lives. So I don't think we can store enough food and things to get us right through this, because they are planning to take away everybody's independence. It's socialism. Remember, think socialism. They are trying to take away everybody's independence and make it a socialist. So it doesn't hurt to have some food stored. It doesn't hurt to have, if you have a diesel car, some diesel, things like that, because when it collapses, that just buys you a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of pressure off, so you know where your next meal's coming from, and it gives you time to let your brain reset. For me, I go out, I walk, I be with the people that matter to me, and hopefully some of those people that will come back around that matter to me, and as they are putting their lives in order. So just order things around you that are never going to be a final solution, but they're going to be something that will ease the pressure as it hits. So I'm going to buy gold. They are going to confiscate gold, 100%. But I believe. But it doesn't hurt to have a little bit. But then again, you've got to ask yourself the question, am I prepared to trade in black market gold? It's not like you can take a gold bar to the supermarket, slap it down on the counter and scrape a bit off and say, here's my payment. No, things are going away. CBDC is where it is going, and now, the CBDC is a step in a horrid direction, but it's going to be that slow death.